Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Standard Bank's Growth Conversations. My name is Nicole Kamwendo, and in this episode, we are talking about the creative grind. And I'm pretty sure if you have a look at my panel, you immediately know I've taken the creme de la creme in the creative industry to have this conversation. So let's start with my left. Damanda Ngombe from Standard Bank's Head of Brand and Marketing. How are you doing today?
I'm good, and how are you?
Yeah, I should say you are looking the brand. Thank you. I'm also joined by Bright Chidigo. I never know how to describe you.
By Kiligo, co-founder of Mibos.
Industry influencer, social media guru.
Gwinakwai.
And of course, to my right, the one and only Q Malawi. I was told to call you legit.
Oh, in other words, old.
Let's not go there. Cultural architect?
Producer, yeah, fund, Kweza, and also equally importantly, artist and poet.
Oh, you know what? Instead of forgetting the poetry part.
Oh, okay. Album coming out.
We love to hear that. So maybe our first question rather, should begin with you. What does the creative industry look like right now? And what is it? Is it evolving? Is it changing? Especially you who've been in the industry for so long.
Yeah, I think definitely Malawi's creative industry is growing. Having been in this space for quite a while, it's been significant big improvements. A lot more people are getting into the industry. I remember, I think about 20 years ago, just being in a space where there's so many photographers, videographers, that was something that wasn't seen. And now we've got a lot more young people who are practicing, playing their trade in different creative spaces and earning a living.
It's become a very lucrative industry.
Yeah. And just to be a little bit boring, in 2013, I think there was a study that indicated that the copyright-based industries were contributing 3.46% to the country's economy.
Oh, wow.
So that was 2013. So now think of
12 years later.
If we had invested heavily from then, and that was more than, I think, transportation, mining, quarry, all combined. So it was not yet. So the figures are shocking. So when people refer to it as an emerging industry, no, something that's already set. We just need to, make sure that we fill the gaps in the ecosystem. But we've got amazing artists, amazing creators. We just need the right systems to make sure that it catapults forward.
Speaking of said systems, and what would you think, or what would you say are some of the unique opportunities that have been arising, especially economically speaking, for creatives?
I think a strong foundation is always necessary. And I think for the past year or 2 years, especially on the government side, the institutions that are being put in place, to cite specifically the National Arts and Heritage Council, which would be like the mother body that will regulate and promote and provide opportunities for artists and creators. That law that bill went to Parliament, it got passed, got assented to, and is being funded so that we set up the council and other similar laws. So these legislation, they are the ones that build a strong foundation so that we'll continue grow, building on top of that strong foundation. And with that, I think there's a lot of unique opportunities. I think I'll cite one that is already bearing fruit, especially for visual artists. So now it is law that if you have a construction project for a public building or in hospitality, up to 1% of the construction budget is supposed to procure artworks from local artists and artisans.
Oh,
yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah,
That's nice.
so it's now we're taking like money from other sectors and channeling it into artists and creators. So already that is an opportunity maybe for people to study art curation, spatial design. So with these changes, now people have to start thinking that what do we need to train ourselves in? Yeah, so just one of the opportunities that is happening.
Speaking of basically channeling money from, or let's not call it money, it's got financing opportunities from other industries into creatives. We've noticed a lot of cooperatives have started working with creatives.
Yeah, I was actually interested to say that. Recently we did a CSR project at Zomba Central Hospital, where we're expanding the HD units for mothers, from maternal HD unit, and we actually bought some local art to put in the hospital to support artists as part of our Joy in the Arts initiative. So we did sponsor Art in the Park this year, and we bought some people from various artists, and some of them we put in the hospital. Some of them were actually hanging up in Standard Bank building. At Standard Bank, we say that we're driving Malawi's growth. I mean, one of the best ways to do that is to encourage the creative industry. So we talk about its ATMM, and tourism is one of the things. You can't do tourism without promoting the creative industry. So you can't grow Malawi without telling us its story or telling about its culture. And the best way to do that is through creatives. You can't do it through a boring article. The likes of Q, poetry, whether it's music, that's how you get out the culture of Malawi, and that's what we're trying to do.
I think one of the things that the creative industry has struggled with, and both of you can agree, is trying to create an image that's worth investing in. Because as much as you're saying we've got these unique opportunities, and as much as corporates want to invest into the creative industry itself, it has to be individuals and institutions that are worth investing in. So what does it look like to say this is a commercially viable creative person or institution?
I think
Maybe this, yeah, I think hearing from you would really paint a clear picture.
I'll respond to it in two different answers. The first one being that we partner with creatives that are already in the industry or are trying to promote the industry. Art in the Park is one of them. I think we partnered with Q in several occasions. We're partnering with the Unima in terms of their theater arm. We're partnering with MUST in their culture segment. So we're part of institutions that are already promoting the arts or are already promoting the culture of Malawi. That's one way. The other way is also to empower the youth. So if you look at the artists that we actually got or at Art in the Park, for example, those are the people that we actually encourage our customers to go and visit and then start to commission them for art after the event. So that's actually empowering individuals. When you look at the music industry, we'll be probably partnering more with the music industry because a lot of young artists that are coming up may not have direction in terms of, we're calling it the creative grind. It has to be monetized. So yes, it's a talent. Yes, it's promoting Malawi. Yes, we're trying to grow Malawi. But what's in it for this youth itself? It's empowerment, financial stability, being able to manage themselves financially. So that's what you look at when we actually.
So, okay, great. But also as a bank, when you're picking who you want to work with, how do you look at, or how do you decide this is the person you want to work with? Like, what kind of branding attracts you? Because we all want to make money. So what kind of branding says, okay, Standard Bank is going to come calling to me?
So as a brand, Standard Bank we're a stable brand. People can also, sometimes being a bank is a bank.
Yeah.
We can be a bit conservative. So basically, how you brand yourself matters. So how consistent is your brand? And does it speak to our values? For example, we're looking at someone who is well behaved.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Now, onto you, Bright. How would you say social media changed the way people build their brands? Because these days we've seen a brand being built overnight. So how did social media affect it?
Okay, I think social media has really changed the whole game, the whole arts and creative game, in the sense that from the distribution itself, monetizing your work, it has really improved compared to like the traditional way of doing things. Right now, it's easy for an artist, for example, an artist from Bangwe who doesn't have access to TV stations, access to radios. Once they have a phone, once they have the internet, they're good to go. Once they post their work, if it's good, it can go viral overnight, and the next day they're a star. So social media has brought simplicity in distributing your creative content. And besides that, even if an artist is not booked for shows, they can actually monetize their art using the digital media as well. I'll give an example with how they generate revenue. In 2022 alone, Spotify generated over $12 million. That's what they gave away to music artists. And in 2024, the amount tripled. It was $38,000. In doing so, not only are they benefiting themselves, but then they're also generating forex, since once the money is sent to them through the banking system.
But isn't social media like a double-edged sword in a way? Because you can go viral, but at the same time, doesn't it also expose?
It has both positives and negatives. Yeah. In terms of distribution and monetizing your work, it's really good. But then if you're not careful, if you are not using it properly, it can actually damage your brand. Because I've seen artists that are viral on social media, they have numbers, but then they can't gain corporate deals because of how
For
they
the wrong
conduct.
reasons.
Yeah, because of how they conduct themselves on social media.
Yeah.
It's not only likes that pay. Many people are interested in gaining likes. So in doing so, they need to follow trends.
Whether it's a good trend or a bad trend, they don't really care.
They don't really care as long as they're having the likes. So that misleads a lot of artists. It results in impacting their brand in a negative way. So social media, if used properly, it can boost your artistic career. But if used in the wrong way, it can actually harm your reputation and bring you down. So it has both positives and negatives.
Can I last one to that? I mean, the issue of bringing in Forex through digital media.
Yeah.
I think that's an important thing for Malawi. It's a conversation we need to have now.
Yeah, true.
How else can we bring Forex into Malawi? People think of the usual things. They'll sell, whether it's consultancy, they'll sell produce. But are people thinking that the creative industry is actually something that we can export?
Because we think of exports as tangible things.
Yes, but the creative industry, you can actually export that. And the creative industry, like, we're actually coming to realize that opening up more fashion is also a creative industry. That's something that can be exported by Malawi.
And actually exporting, you can export at just a click of a button.
You see?
Yeah.
But just to add on that, especially on what Ruby, the game changer has been the digital space, right? But how we set it up is key. Because we might talk of the Spotify's or YouTube's money being generated there. Where is it getting taxed? Where is it getting backed? Are we just, when the remittance happens, maybe it's time to have the serious conversations about having locally homegrown platforms that people out there pay for our products here. And then that is definitely more
Direct.
revenue, direct revenue coming here. So I think as we're moving forward, I think these are the discussions that we need to have. And it will need the tech specialists now, because I think creatives and artists, I think they've done their part.
Yeah.
Now to start saying, oh no, you need to develop these platforms. It's not their job.
Yeah, but that's where partnership comes in. So apart from financing, what other partnerships can be there to boost the growth of Malawi, which is what Standard Bank is trying to do? You see that we bring together different partners and stakeholders to say, how can we actually grow in the various areas in line with the Malawi 2063?
I like that. Speaking of finances now, right? This one now is going to come to you because creatives are considered the informal sector. We are not supported by pension. We're not supported by health insurance and all these traditional coverage. What is the reality of navigating that space as a non-traditional earner? Because you never know. You don't have a steady source of income as a creative. You never know when the gig is going to come, how it's going to do, like managing your taxes and everything. What are the realities? Maybe you can paint that picture for us.
All right. I think the reality is that it's true that the creatives, they earn money and their money in an irregular pattern. So with that in mind, it's hard for them to plan for financial planning. It's hard for them. For example, a creative it can be a good month for a creative where they have so many gigs during that month. And the next month,
December.
yeah, and the next
December.
and the next 2 months, drought season, they have no gigs. So it's hard for them to plan in advance. They do not know what follows next. They can be hot this month, the next month they have a competitor. So there is need for financial discipline. There is need for trainings on like financial literacy. Yeah, so financial institutions like Standard Bank as well, they can also provide like financial education on their artists. And in terms of tax and all that, so many creatives that we have worked with, they feel that their field is not big enough to they should be thinking about tax. I think that tax is for big corporate bodies. If they want to find a sponsor, sponsors are looking for bodies that are tax compliant and those that have their bank statements in order. And us, like I'll give an example, us at Nikos, we know we have been learning all these things and we are able to know to have like business accounts and personal accounts and able to differentiate between those two, and we are tax compliant as well. And To give an example, we have been working with so many corporate bodies because we have learned the benefits of financial planning. We have worked with Standard Bank as well. When they were launching Unayo.
Because people, I think there's a misconception also about Because to say that, oh no, it's just a Facebook page that does this. You have so much going on at Because. You've got the creative studio, you're doing so much. How do you balance something you do for the passion and something you're doing for the profit?
Okay, I think first of all, it's passion that made us where we are.
To have a profit.
Yeah, so I think the passion itself gave life to the creative field, to our creativity. And then, but for us, the people in the background, for us to survive, we need profit projects. But then when you're too focused on the profit making projects, you kill your creative side. So as Because we keep finding ways of combining the two by embedding profit projects in our passion driven projects. For example, we used to have live, like online performances before we launched our studio. We used to have like online performances. We did not make any money. We were not making any money out of it. It was just the passion. And
It was the artist development.
yeah. And when people came in that wanted to work with us to market their products, instead of us just posting about their products, we embedded their ads in our already existing content that was driven through our passion.
Okay, I like that. That's very, very smart. Yes.
But just to add, from a keen interest perspective, I noticed the strategy being mentioned, and from a brand perspective, it's actually very important. What Because you have done in terms of also bringing to light to artists to say that you need to have a certain strategy. Social media is not just there to operate willy-nilly. You need to have a strategy in terms of how you present yourself. That's exactly what the personal branding is. So, Q mentioned to say that you have to have a strategy.
So my next question is going to come back to you, Tolanda, because beyond business, like you've said it yourself, creativity is power in and of itself. It's passion. It flows through you. What responsibility do creatives have in shaping social narratives and also driving change?
I think it's massive. You'll notice that in a lot of communication drives, whether it's awareness, whether it's even building cultures. I mean, I'll give an interesting example about that. I was listening to 2 days ago, a conversation, and people were saying, you find that every time there's a campaign in Malawi, we're driving towards elections, you have women that come up with songs.
Yes. It's an international thing, actually. I think we saw that over the election season in the US as well, so getting artists to endorse and whatnot, like creators have such power.
You go to Queen Elizabeth maternity ward, you find women singing. They teach them how to sing so that they teach each other about motherhood through song, or how to prepare themselves for motherhood through song. Why am I using that as an example? It's one creatives bring out the emotion. They can educate. They can literally create movements in a country, in an organization. It brings people together. They say that there are two things that cut across cultures, cut across generations. It's sports and the creative industry. Because everybody loves music. Almost everybody has a sport that they're into. Almost everybody enjoys some kind of creative, whether it's reading a book, listening to music, whether it's writing, so whether it's fashion. We all have something that we're interested in that requires a creative behind it.
So in closing, I'll tie back to the first question, but this time I'll ask it differently. Do you think, let's start with Bright, that the creative industry is thriving or surviving?
Okay, compared to the previous years where arts and creativity was just treated as a hobby, I think right now it has transitioned into careers. People are earning and actually living out of arts and creativity. So I think the creative industry 10 years from now, 5 years from now, it'll be better than where it is today. Because today it's better than where it was previous.
I like that answer.
Yeah.
That's literally evidence that it is. You know?
Okay, to answer your question, I was taken back to when I was trying to choose what to do in university. So my father is an author. He's a writer and author. So creative. I wanted to do literature initially, but he said no. He said because you end up either as a teacher or you have no way. It will take you a while before you thrive.
Especially in Malawi.
Yes, because there's going to be a career in Malawi unless you go outside the country. So I don't want you to take that risk. So I want you to choose something else and not English literature. I'm looking back then and I'm thinking how much things have changed since then. And now we're in an industry where we actually support Malawian creatives, where you can buy Malawian art. I mean, the Malawian music industry is thriving. We listen to a lot of Malawian music now than then. Then it was usually external, not Malawi music that was being pioneered, but now you can have
a whole 3 is
just Malawians. Exactly. You can have a session of poetry, spoken word, and people will actually come and
we've got a lot more published authors now.
you see. So I'm thinking of that, and then has it evolved? Absolutely. Is it going to continue to evolve? As Bart has said, absolutely. The opportunities are there. I think it is evolving and in the right direction.
And the same question comes to you, Q. Do you think, because I feel like to some extent there's also the level of creatives not looking at themselves as businesses. Creatives tend to think of, no, my art is today. It's not tomorrow, it's not honest. Do you think we're surviving more thriving?
I think like any industry, if you observe any industry, you find some that are surviving, some that are doing well, and some that are thriving. As a whole, I'll say we're moving in the right direction.
Okay.
There's a lot of focus now. The topic of creative industry, it's being talked about. It wasn't the case. And you say it's about figures.
Yeah.
Let me just share some figures. 2014, 2019, Kosoma collected about 380 million in terms of royalties that were distributed. Between 2020 and this year, it's 5.6 billion.
Wow.
So that's about 17.
Please, I believe in it. That is
So with issues probably like Black Media Levy, that focus now on can we start putting together these policy systems that are going to bring in more money into the space. Hence the legislation as a solid foundation, making sure that the house is in order. This space has received a lot of support.
Yeah.
But can we go an extra mile and not just supporting, but joining the space?
Yeah.
When I talk about tech, the big tech companies in Malawi, can we start looking at how do we
Collaborate.
Products specifically for
and
creatives as well.
that are homegrown that people get onto, so that the money comes from there to here and being taxed here.
Yeah, we have so many delivery apps. Let's have a creatives app.
Yeah, can we have a big company that will decide to set up a subsidiary in the creative space and not just support, but become part of the sector? So I think these are the conversations, because there's a lot of money.
Clearly, 5.6 billion.
Yeah,
There's a lot of zeros.
Yeah, and Standard Bank, as one of the big examples that are investing heavily, they're going to read, because who is banking this sector? They eventually would like to position me that if you talk about Malawi's creative industry,
these are the
it should be
names.
synonymous with the bank like Standard Bank, that they are ones who are banking this bit. Because if you talk about these figures, this money, this 5%, who is holding this money?
It's like the creative industry, munda, atalime. All right. Well, thank you for this conversation. Thank you for your honesty. And ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this episode of Standard Bank's Growth Conversations. We'll see you on the next one.